The Witcher 3 isn't just one of the greatest RPGs ever made because it has an epic open world, a banging soundtrack, or a grumpy white-haired monster slayer. What really makes it stand out is the storytelling, and more than that, the decisions you make along the way. Not fake choices that barely change a line of dialogue. I'm talking real moral dilemmas, the kind that mess with your head hours, sometimes days, after you've made them. These decisions aren't always marked with good or bad. Sometimes you don't even know you're making a choice until it's too late. And when the dust settles, it's not always clear if you did the right thing. That's what makes this game so brilliant. It doesn't care about making you feel like a hero. It cares about making you feel like a human being living in a messed up world where nothing is black and white. So today, we're diving into Geralt's most impossible choices. The decisions that hurt to make. The ones where every option sucks in a different way. The ones that define who Geralt really is. And maybe who you are too. Let's kick things off with what is probably the most talked about questline in the game, the Bloody Baron. It starts out with you tracking down Ciri, sure, but it quickly turns into something much more personal. You're introduced to this drunk, loudmouth warlord who seems like just another thug, until you dig deeper. And you find out he's actually a broken man who's torn his own family apart. Anna, his wife, is mentally shattered. Tamara, his daughter, has run away and wants nothing to do with him. And then there's the botchling, a dead baby turned into a grotesque little monster because it wasn't buried properly. This isn't fantasy horror for shock value. This is heartbreak in the rawest form. And then the game throws a decision at you. Do you kill the botchling or go through a gruesome ritual to turn it into a guardian spirit? No matter what you do, things get dark. If you try to save Anna, you might make her snap completely. If you don't intervene, she becomes a slave to forest witches. And the Baron, for all his faults, clearly wants to fix things, but redemption doesn't always come easy. Depending on your choices, he might hang himself out of guilt, or he might get a shot at healing. But nothing is clean, nothing is easy. This is the first time in the game that really tells you, hey, this isn't your story. You're just trying to help people who are already way too far gone. And the best you can do is minimize the damage. There's no happy ending here. Just survival if you're lucky. Right when you think you've seen how twisted Velen can get, the game hits you with the Whispering Hillock. You meet this ancient spirit buried deep under a cursed tree, trapped by roots, whispering through corpses. It claims it's a protector, that it once guarded the orphans living in the bog, and that the crones, the creepy forest witches, locked it away out of fear. It asks for your help. It pleads for release. But you've also got the crones telling you this thing is evil. A malevolent force that'll bring death if unleashed. And the worst part, you don't really get the truth. You just get stories, conflicting perspectives, and a countdown ticking in your head. Set the spirit free. And yes, it saves the kids, but it also wipes a village off the map in revenge. Kill it, and those kids fall right into the hands of the crones. One path saves lives now, maybe dooms more later. The other stops a threat at the cost of innocent lives. You walk away wondering if you just did something terrible or barely avoided something worse. This is where the game stops pretending you're in control. Geralt's not a god. He's not omniscient. He has to act on limited information under pressure in a world that punishes idealism. And you, the player, have to sit with that. Love triangles are nothing new in games. Usually, they boil down to which romance cutscene you like more, but not here. Choosing between Triss and Yennefer is actually one of the most emotional and defining choices in The Witcher 3, because it's not just about Geralt's present, it's about his entire past and future. Triss was with him during his amnesia. She cared for him, stood by him when he couldn't even remember who he was. But Yennefer, is the one bound to him by destiny. She's complicated, demanding, but also deeply connected to who Geralt really is. Not the guy who slays monsters, the man who raised Ciri, the one who's loved her across books, battles, and lifetimes. Trying to choose both is a disaster. You end up losing both women, and the game straight up mocks you with a brutal scene where they set you up and walk out of your life. But picking one isn't easy either. Triss wants to leave Novigrad and start fresh. Yennefer has her own baggage and commitments. Whichever way you go, someone's heart breaks, and yours might too. But when you choose one, fully, sincerely, the game rewards you not with fireworks, but with quiet moments, affection, connection. It's rare for a game to treat romance like something meaningful instead of just a bonus quest, but The Witcher 3 nails it. Skellige's got its own brand of chaos, and choosing its next leader feels like being caught in a political hurricane. You've got two main candidates, Ceres, the calm and rational thinker who wants to end the bloody feuds, and Jalmar, the proud warrior who wants to stick with tradition and rule by strength. Neither is evil, neither is perfect. They just represent two very different futures. If you back Ceres, you get a peaceful, modern Skellige that might stand a chance of not destroying itself in endless raids. But that comes with breaking some traditions and facing resistance from those who think she's too soft. If you choose Ashjarmar, you keep the old ways alive. Honor, combat, fire and fury. But that also means more war, more bloodshed, and maybe an early grave for half the Isles. It's not just about who's the better person. It's about who Skellige needs. Do you preserve what makes them strong or push them to evolve into something better? Maybe even at the cost of their identity. And there's no clean answer. The choice is personal, political, cultural, and permanent. The genius of it is that the game doesn't slam you with consequences. It just lets the world shift based on what you do. You feel it in dialogue, in rumors, in the way people treat you. And that slow, creeping sense that maybe, just maybe, you made a mistake. And finally, the defense of Kaer Morhen, one of the most epic moments in the game, brings with it one of the most painful decisions: who survives and who doesn't. You can plan, strategize, do everything right, but depending on how you've handled earlier quests, you might lose someone important. Vizimir, Lambert, Kira, even Eskil. There's this feeling of helplessness in that battle. You're fighting side with people you've grown to love over dozens of hours. And then someone falls, and it hurts. Not because you failed at combat, but because of something you did hours ago. A choice you thought was minor, or maybe didn't even realize was a choice. And when Vesemir dies, because he always does, it breaks something in Geralt. That quiet funeral, that last look at his mentor, it's a turning point. It's when the game tells you that this world takes what it wants, even from the people who fought the hardest. Kaer Morhen is a reminder that choices have weight, that you can't save everyone, and that sometimes all you can do is make sure their sacrifice meant something. So yeah, The Witcher 3 isn't about winning. It's about enduring, about making impossible choices with imperfect information and living with the consequences. That's why it sticks with people. That's why, years after playing it, fans are still talking about what they chose and whether it was the right thing. There's no right answer in this game, just the one you chose. And maybe that's what makes Geralt such a legendary character. Not the monsters he kills, but the decisions he makes and the burden he carries after. If you like this deep dive into the toughest choices in The Witcher 3, hit that like button, subscribe if you're into more long form gaming breakdowns, and let me know what decision you struggled with the most. I'll catch you in the next one.